my readings from today have spoken to a personal and a collective need to clear out any vows, ties, or contracts that aren't serving the ability to listen and to respond to truth. I imagine that the impact of that assessment and action is multidimensional. And multidimensional, I just mean that it will show up in many physical or visible and invisible ways. From how we look on paper to how we function in the material or world, like our house and our cars, maybe even as far as how our relationship dynamics look, and even maybe even stepping into what forces that are greater than that of the human race we are in relationship to, and how we are in relationship with them. I have two more cards on the table, which are patience and precision. And when I listen to Civium, or when I listen to the transition, or even just responding directly to what you sent today, I recognize the patience that it takes to be in relationship with what this higher order principle that is becoming manifest or entering into form through the individual in relationship to the individual in an organization, and this organization operating as a whole within a larger context of a whole, in order to allow this higher order principle to truly enter into the earth and dealing with all the things that come with that. This past weekend, my buddy Peter and I were discussing how when you go from this ethos or this essence or this entity and it enters into form, just like a human, it creates a core wound. Because coming and being born is something's always lost, or something always feels lost. And the ability to turn that wounding or that shadow or that pain into purpose, and to allow that purpose, not just the higher order entity or force or energy that you're in relationship that came into form and is coming into form through the individual or through the organization, but also the newfound purpose that comes from the unique or distinct shadow or wound that is embodied in that form, and allowing that to be what drives creation out into the world. I don't know if what I'm saying is making a lot of sense. I'm not even exactly sure what it is that I'm trying to convey. Sorrow. This is the Thoth Tarot, so Aleister Crowley and Prudence. And for me, the Three of Swords or sorrow is literally what I'm talking about. It's the sadness of knowing something and knowing it to be true, but having it not have yet crossed the threshold into the material world. And even the process of moving from something that is ephemeral and coming into form or human body is the greatest joy in some ways, yes, but it is also a decision to take on suffering and to be wounded by becoming fractured or entering into a sense of fractured. And when I hear about the who's and the what's, and then those who's and the what's driving to coming into relationship with how's eventually, I think about the process that takes place for those sorrows and for those wounds and for those shadows to be transformed into purpose, and not just an individual purpose, but a collective purpose that allows for those hows to even be approached. I think about prudence. This 8 of coins, this disc, this very mature path, maturing path in the material manifest world is like a commentary on what you said about timing. How the timing is right, but not quite yet. My reading said somewhere between 20 degrees in Leo and 20 degrees in Virgo, which is August. And a lot of the communities I'm a part of, I hear a lot of people talking about their product launches, particularly around communities or networks happening in August. I bring these things up because I guess really what I wanted to communicate with this message is that I hear you. And I'm listening. And I'm working. Because we have to. I call myself the startup shaman because I believe that there's something about using entrepreneurship as a spiritual path that is timely and relevant to attracting the who's through a relationship to the what's, so we can get into the hows. These are ventures, adventures, startups, businesses, organizations. There's probably a lot of ways to discuss it, but in some way they all have to begin. And that startup mentality is something that may be critical here. And the shaman is a representation of the spiritual practice and disciplines that I am learning and engaging with in order to even get through this life in this body at this time. So I hold this polarity not as a whole being, as a being becoming, so that I can learn what it's like to navigate the spectrum that can exist between the multi-dimensional, immaterial path of the shaman and the material realities that may be necessary for the development of the civilization that is asking to come through and that is already coming through humanity. I don't know how long this has been, so I think I'll get ready to wrap up. I'll pull one more card. This is the archetypal deck. The Hunter. The whole concept of the deck is coming into relationship with archetypal studies and being aware of archetypes that are present in our life and in our field. So the hunter, the seeker, the pursuer, the predator. The hunter hunts. They are on a precise mission with an aim. To return home empty-handed would be to fail, which is not an option in the hunter's eyes. This archetypal journey far and wide, seeking the prize that calls to its heart or stomach. Tales of bravery and feats of strength often result, creating a life full of adventure. The hunter is skillful, quick, decisive, and results-oriented. Like the great hunting goddess of Artemis, who carries her quiver upon her back, the hunter typically has a weapon of choice. When this card appears, it is critical that you ask 3 questions. What am I hunting? Why am I hunting it? Is the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand? When light, focused, energized, respectful, seasoned. When dark, irresponsible, violent, and poaching. What am I hunting? Why am I hunting it? Is the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand?